All right, the UK bracing for potential complications ahead of next week's Brexit vote amid rising concerns about global growth that we talk about here all the time. David O'Sullivan joins us. David is the European Union ambassador to the United States. It's always good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
What happens if this vote in the Parliament fails on Theresa May's plan next week? Then what?
Well, I mean, clearly the agreement which we have negotiated between the EU 27 and the British government for an orderly withdrawal of the UK from the European Union on the 29th of March needs to be approved by the British Parliament. We understand there will be a first vote next week. We wait to see how that goes. If they do not pass it on the first vote, I imagine they will then have to have discussions as to how they want to go forward. From the EU 27 perspective, we think this is the best possible deal, and we hope that in due course a way can be found to have it approved in the UK. But we understand it's a difficult discussion, and there are conflicting views.
To put it mildly, it doesn't look... Well, we'll see. I guess we'll just see how it goes next week. One of the things I saw today, which was interesting for lack of a better term, is that the UK, right, they might end up voting on an EU Parliament, the very same EU that they're leaving, the way the timing ends up working out, right?
Well, Connell, that's running ahead a bit. The next elections for the European Parliament are at the end of May. And so far, we're agreed that the UK will leave at the end of March.
Right. The speculation was that they would try to delay that, as you know.
Yeah, but and that is certainly a possibility. You need unanimous agreement of the EU 27 as well as the UK to decide that. And it's clear that the looming European Parliament elections on the 24th of May, held over a couple of days across all of Europe, is certainly a date that people will have in mind. And you're right, it would seem a bit strange for the UK to participate in those elections and then to still plan to leave the European Union some weeks or months later. So
right.
that's definitely an element in deciding how long any delay could be.
Okay, so you'd rather, from the EU's perspective, again, avoid that type of situation for those reasons, which
I think also for the UK it would not be very satisfactory to ask people to vote in an election where you are probably for an organisation which you're thinking of leaving very shortly after.
Speaking of the UK, the other point that's been thrown around forever, and I've heard so many, we've had debates on the show, we've had all kinds of views on it, is what happens if there's a quote-unquote no-deal Brexit? If they don't reach an agreement and the UK leaves without a deal in place. There have been some who say that is disastrous, others who say, no, they could do it and, come up with bilateral deals down the line or whatever the case may be. What do you say? What's the EU's perspective on no-deal Brexit?
I think there is a very large agreement between most people in the UK and the EU 27 that a no-deal Brexit would be very bad for everyone, particularly bad for the UK.
Let me just stop you, Ambassador, just for one reason.
Yeah.
What does very bad look like? What would that actually mean?
Well, it would mean an abrupt departure, creating all kinds of difficult situations, whether this is in regard to checks at the border on goods and services, aviation difficulties, a myriad of complex problems which need to be negotiated and planned for it to happen in an orderly fashion. And if you had an abrupt departure, I think there would be massive disruption, both economically and socially. And this, I think, is something
into the UK, they'd be everything would be delayed massively, that kind of thing.
Exactly,
yeah,
and there would be all sorts of challenges about aviation travel and so forth. Now, people have been working to prepare for the worst-case scenario to try to mitigate that, but I think everyone agrees this is the option we really want to avoid.
That's the least. Okay, we'll follow it next week. It's always good to see you, Ambassador. Thanks so much for coming on.